I'm Brenda Cruz with Vetwork News, coming to you from outside the U.S. Senate. Today, we're diving deep into the Camp Lejeune Justice Act, an act of Congress designed to compensate veterans and their families who were exposed to contaminated water on the base between 1953 and 1987. The promise was clear: a pathway to justice for those who suffered from cancers and other serious illnesses. To speed up that process, the Department of Justice and the Navy introduced the elective option, or EO, a voluntary expedited settlement framework. Here's the headline: momentum and money are finally moving on Camp Lejeune claims. But for hundreds of thousands of veterans, the massive backlog is the real story. There's a Veteran Lodge alliance of more claimants than the population of Colorado Springs tied to a single class claim. Since the elective option was launched in 2023, the Department of Justice has approved about 2,500 offers. That represents roughly $708 million in announced settlement values, with about $530 million of that amount actually paid out to claimants so far. The pace is picking up. In March alone, 649 offers totaling $175 million were approved in just 3 weeks. But here's the challenge: more than 440,000 administrative claims were filed before the August 10, 2024 deadline. When you do the math, that means fewer than 1% of all claims have been resolved. At this rate, some advocates grimly calculate it could take more than a century to clear the entire queue. The primary bottlenecks are document verification, complex causation reviews for non-presumptive conditions, and sheer staffing limitations after 2 federal shutdowns.
Why am I still waiting when the law said we'd be made whole? I did my part. Where's the minimum $100K guaranteed to me under CLJA? My VSO agent uploaded my service records 3 times, and it feels like they just get lost in the system. It seems like they never had any real intentions to settle me up.
Does the DOJ raise elective option tiers if those first jury trials in North Carolina come back big this year? And what happens if they don't? We're all watching those bellwether cases.
They keep asking for more documentation. I sent hospital records twice. What else do they need? My husband is sick now. We don't have years to wait for them to find a piece of paper.
If war costs spike toward $200 billion, do CLJA payouts slip further down the priority list? It's a valid concern when you're talking about the federal budget and competing priorities.
Should I hold out for court or take the elective option now? My lawyer says a trial could mean more money, but the EO is faster. It's a gamble I never thought I'd have to make.
Here are the facts, fast. Let's break down the process. Elective option payouts are standardized. The process involves an offer, which the claimant can accept. Upon acceptance, they sign a release, and then the payment enters the payment pipeline. These offers range from roughly $100,000 to $550,000, and the amount is determined by 2 key factors: the specific medical diagnosis tier and the total length of time spent at Camp Lejeune. Tier 1 cancers, like bladder, liver, and kidney cancer, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, as well as leukemia, tend to qualify for higher settlement offers. Tier 2 includes conditions like kidney disease and Parkinson's disease. More documented months on base means more money. For example, exposure over 5 years gets a higher payout than exposure for 1 year. But it's crucial to know that not every claim fits the strict EO rules. Those cases, especially for illnesses not on the presumptive list, may need deeper causation review or proceed to litigation. Speaking of litigation, nearly 3,700 federal lawsuits are now pending in the Eastern District of North Carolina. This court is managing them in a coordinated process, similar to a multi-district litigation, or MDL. The court has scheduled blocks of bellwether trials, with about 24 jury trials expected in 2026, the first ever in CLJA history. The outcomes of these initial cases could influence how the government approaches future settlements, potentially even leading to revisions in the EO tiers. For those who filed by the deadline, the Navy's portal is still accepting additional documentation, despite CLJA officials stating that there have been technical difficulties accessing the claims web portal due to system updates that started early last year. Submitting more proof of presence, like orders, housing records, or an LES showing duty at Camp Lejeune, and more detailed medical records that clearly state the diagnosis and date, can strengthen a claim and potentially increase a settlement offer. Now let's address the noise surrounding the recently coined CLJA Chapter 11 bankruptcy case in Colorado. A CLJA-related bankruptcy filing tied to a veterans advocate who co-founded an international veterans organization that initially drew a technical closing order from the court due to missing paperwork lost by a next-day mail courier and other deficiencies addressed by the court. However, after a police report was filed with the Greenwood Village Police Department, the missing court filing arrived a week later and was entered into the court docket. Judge McNamara noted this unofficial, CLJA-related multi-billion-dollar estate was possibly the largest single estate Chapter 11 bankruptcy in Colorado history. For context, we will now read from the debtor's representations made in court filings. These are claims made to the court, not adjudicated facts. According to bankruptcy court records, the CLJA Chapter 11's main party, debtor Kerry Peterson, told the bankruptcy court that he previously pledged almost all of his expected $8.8 billion CLJA settlement contingency fee payments under a UCC lien in Colorado in order to get CLJA veterans adequate settlement advances or grants, and vet work program operating and management costs to support over 500,000 disabled veteran claimants. After the government shutdowns, failed to provide any funding for his veteran services organization and AI law research clinic projects that are directly affiliated with the Veterans Affairs and Defense Departments. Now, here is the key point for all veterans. Bankruptcy court is not a shortcut to force the U.S. government to pay CLJA settlements. The established official payment channels flow through the Navy JAG, the DOJ's settlement process, or through official verdicts and settlements reached in the federal court in North Carolina. Veterans are not debtors or creditors in that Colorado case, and legal experts confirm that filing an adversary claim there as a non-debtor party that was not among the 440,040 CLJA Settlement Club members eligible to consider this alternative pathway to CLJA settlement funds. If you won $8 billion in a settlement, would you donate half or more of it to help disabled and homeless military veterans?
Yeah, why not? Sounds like a great cause.
If you won $8 billion in a settlement, would you donate half or more of it to help disabled and homeless military veterans?
Absolutely not.
If you won $8 billion in a settlement, would you donate half or more of it to help disabled and homeless military veterans?
Absolutely not. I earned it, and I'm keeping it for my family.
If you won $8 billion in a settlement, would you donate half or more of it to help disabled and homeless military veterans?
Sure, just kidding. I'm not that generous.
If you won $8 billion in a settlement, would you donate half or more of it to help disabled and homeless military veterans?
Probably not. I don't think mega billionaires donate that much to one cause. That sounds crazy.
So, where does this all go from here? The coming months will be critical. We'll be watching for an increased pace of EO offers, updates from the court in North Carolina on bellwether trial progress, and any policy signals from Washington. For eligible CLJA claimants, the best advice is to continue working through the official channels, whether it be the DOJ, specific federal courts in Colorado or North Carolina. Ensure your documentation is complete on the Navy's portal. Contact an attorney or VSO, and be wary of scams or promises of shortcuts. We'll continue to track this story as it develops. This Veterans Rights Awareness Update has been sponsored by Veterans First for America. This is VetWork News. I'm Brenda Cruz.